Hello.
Hello there. Is that the Stylistics?
Yes, it is.
Hi, it's DJ Gloss from Sound Fusion Radio. We have an interview arranged for 9. Are you still
Right,
okay for that?
right. Yes.
Wonderful. That's lovely news. So, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Brian. How are you?
Yeah, very well indeed. Very well indeed. Which member of the Stylistics am I speaking to?
Airrion Love.
Airrion, lovely to hear from you. That's fantastic. So, do you mind if I ask you some questions from back in the day? Is that okay?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I just wondered how long roughly do you have to spare for the interview, and then I can tailor the questions accordingly.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, that's fantastic. Yeah. Thank you. Right. Okay. Well, the first question that I was going to ask you. The band actually formed out of two groups, didn't it, back in 1970, which was the Percussions and the Monarchs. Could you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
Okay, sure. Well, I was in a group called the Monarchs, and Herbert Morrell, he was in a group called the Percussions. When we graduated from high school, members from both groups either went to college or went into the armed services.
Right.
So my group, the Monarchs, we were left with 3 members and a drummer, and her group was left with 2 members, a bass guitar player and a lead guitar player. So they had basically what we needed, and we had basically what they needed, and we combined the 2 groups and then changed the name to the Stylistics.
Wow. And in 1970, your big hit was You're a Big Girl Now. That was the first one for you, wasn't it, that sort of went into the national charts there in the USA?
That's correct.
Yeah, could you tell us a little bit about that?
It was actually released locally at first. It was just released in the Philadelphia area.
Yeah.
On a local record company, Sebring Records. And the gentleman that owned Sebring approached us as we were working at a local club in Philadelphia and asked would we be interested in recording.
Yes, yeah.
And so he took us into the studio, and the song You're a Big Girl Now was penned by our then guitar player and Robert Douglas and our road manager at the time, Marty Bryant.
Yes, yeah.
And Bill Perry released it, like I said, just locally, and it did pretty good. So he went to AFCO Records for a national deal, and once AFCO received the record, they sent it national.
Wow. Yeah, because AVCO, you were with them for quite some time, weren't you? And they sort of call that the Bell Creed years when you read your various biographies out there.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Your producers, and that came with some fantastic tunes like Betcha by Golly Well and I'm Stone in Love with You and Break Up to Make Up and You Make Me Feel Brand New. All absolute classics and all, high charting, number 2s, number 5s, fantastic years. Could you tell us a little bit about that period in the Stylistics history?
Okay, well, naturally after the success of You're a Big Girl Now, AFCO wanted us to come up with an album. So they got in touch with Tom Bell to start producing us. And working with Tommy, I mean, for me personally, just when I heard the songs that him and Linda Creed were writing, I just felt they were great songs from the beginning, the very first time that I heard them.
Yeah.
And so Tommy took us in the studio and we recorded our first album, The Stylistics. And I think from that album alone, I think it might have been 5 or 6 hits that came from that particular album.
There was also, you had US number 3 with Betcha by Golly Well. You had a number 2 with You Make Me Feel Brand New. You had a number 5 with Break Up to Make Up, and that's just the information I've got to hand. So you can imagine that must have been a really awesome time for you guys. Must have been an amazing period in your career. So Can I ask you any sort of, or could you share with us a memorable moment from then, or something that really stands out for you?
Well, I remember it seemed like they were releasing song after song so quickly.
Yes.
Back then, I think it was one time that we might have had actual two records that were charted at the same time. When Tommy produced the Rock and Roll Baby album, before we went into the studio with that, Linda Creed talked to me at a banquet dinner and said, well, we're coming up with a song that you're going to be sharing a lead on with Russell. And that's what she told me about, You Make Me Feel Brand New. Right. So I said to her, hum a little bit of it, sing a little bit of it. And she sung maybe 5 or 6 words and hummed the melody. And when I heard it, I said, wow, that's going to be a big song. I just knew right in the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that You Make Me Feel Brand New is the internationally known Stylistics tune that, you know, if you ask anybody name one, they usually name that one, you know, and it's a fantastic tune. I remember hearing it back in the day in the UK charts here. And the Stylistics always been extremely popular here in the UK, and I hope that you guys felt that. But looking at sort of the statistics of your tunes, you have been very, very popular in the UK with the UK sort of soul movement, and you know, we're loving that as a radio station that plays those genres of music. So fantastic. Can I ask you? On a more personal note, what your musical influences were as you were growing up?
Well, at that time, the Motown era was real big.
Yeah.
And I think any five male member group in the U.S. at that time was naturally patterning themselves after the Temptations.
Yeah.
So, and so were we. I mean, to have not had any recordings in the beginning, we were doing a lot of Temptation stuff in our shows, and Temptation was just our idol. But like I said, the Motown era was big. Aretha Franklin was huge at the time, and Stevie Wonder was just basically coming out. So it was a lot of popular music around, but Motown was the big thing.
Yeah. I mean, Stevie back then was really a young man, you know, a very young man,
right?
And very, very, very new.
Right out of high school too. So we were like 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
You know, so we were influenced by the Motown greatly.
Well, I mean, that's an amazing age to be coming out with all of these hits, and you know, back then when you had a hit, you truly had a hit. I mean, it was all about record sales back in those days, and you know, proper statistics that you can actually base things on. Today seems to be somewhat different, but you know, when you went gold back in the 70s, you seriously went gold, and that's fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful. So, do you remember the first time that the Stylistics played to a large audience? Can you sort of remember the first time you transitioned to a sort of massive audience? I wondered if that was a memory you could share with us.
Well, see, when our first record broke, we were doing local stuff, and then I remember when we first went to the Apollo Theater in New York. We had did a theater in Philadelphia called the Uptown, but the Apollo Theater was world renowned. So when we knew that we were going there for a week, that was really exciting for us. That was, for us, a move in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic, and that must have been quite something for you guys, back in the day. Just loving that. So as time moved on, you were under the producers Hugo and Luigi, and your arranger was Van McCoy.
Right.
And can you tell us a little bit about that sort of period of time?
Yeah, well, Van McCoy came on the heels of Tom Bell.
Yes.
From what we heard, Tom Bell and the record company had a problem because the record company wanted Tommy to produce 2 albums on us a year, and he only wanted to do 1.
Yeah.
So when that fell apart, Van McCoy was brought in, and we enjoyed working with Van. I think Van, our first album we did with Van McCoy was I Can't Give You Anything.
Yeah.
And the record company did a lot of promoting for that album in the States, and it did go gold, but it wasn't like the same type of excitement about the music as it was when Tom Bell was producing it.
Yeah.
Like I said, we got a gold album from that, and then it also did well for us overseas, the UK and Japan.
Yes.
But stateside, it was kind of losing its oomph, and definitely, I Can't Give You Anything was successful,
Yes.
but not like the Tom Bell stuff was in the States.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely, I Can't Give You Anything. It's just another one of the classics that everybody knows the Stylistics for, and like you say, from that period, although not perhaps so exciting for yourselves, but certainly from a listener point of view, from a fan point of view, I think that one seriously hit home with them, and I can relate to that. So.
Right.
Yeah, fantastic. So you switched to HL Records in 1976. You were with them for a couple of years, and then you moved on to Mercury, and you were produced by Teddy Randazzo. That's right. Yeah. So that period of time, what sort of memories come from there, Aaron? If you don't mind me asking.
Well, it's funny because even though the stuff that we did for AFCO was good, to me personally, I loved the stuff that we did for Teddy Randazzo. Teddy Randazzo, we knew of him from Little Anthony and the Imperials songs that he wrote for them, Going Out of My Head, and I love this stuff. So when we went into the studio with Teddy, we actually stayed in his home for the 2 weeks that we recorded the first album with Teddy, and it was a casual event. If we got up and we were messing around the studio and we felt like singing, we would just pop into the studio and start recording. He would fix spaghetti dinners for us, and we would just sit around and talk, and then we would go back into the studio and, record some more. So it was really relaxed working with him. Great producer, yeah.
Sounds really great. Sounds like the right environment for generating just great music, where people
it was
free to sort of, express themselves in a way, and when it kind of felt right for them. I think that's fantastic. Absolutely love that. And then 1980 saw you reunited with Tom Bell again, and on Philadelphia International and TSOP. Yeah, Sound of Philadelphia. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, we were back with Tommy, and Tommy co-produced along with Dexter Wanzel.
Yeah.
Well, we're still doing albums at the time, so it was a double-sided. Tommy had one side of the album, and Dexter had another side. It was good material. It was really interesting working with Dexter because Dexter was taking us into a area that Tommy had us in one field of music, and Dexter was taking us into another one.
Yes.
But it's funny, when that project came around, the record company was real interested, and they were going to do all this promotion on it. And Teddy Pendergrass, who was a number one artist on Philadelphia International,
Teddy
had
absolutely. Yeah.
He had his accident at that same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I can't remember who was the main company behind putting the dollars there for Philly International to do the promotion, but they kind of like fell back after Teddy had his accident, and they weren't putting as much money into the company. So in retrospect, we didn't have the money to promote our album like they planned to.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, even so, just being back into the sort of Philadelphia influence, it did put you back at the top of the R&B charts at the time, which must have been nice. It did. An amazing feat there, and fantastic. And then really, there's a little bit of a gap in the biography there, and it's possibly not because you weren't doing anything, but there's sort of not much said again until the early 2000s, which see you in various TV appearances, and also you do incredibly well again in Japan. It's like a Japan reawakening there in the 2000s. Is that how you saw it, or?
After, I'm trying to go back in my mind now.
Sorry, it is early.
After Tom Bell and Dexter Wanzel, there wasn't much on recording, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
We did, I can't remember what year it was. We did a project with a producer by the name of Preston Glass.
Yes, yeah, Preston, yeah.
And Preston was actually a protege of Tom Bell.
Mm.
So when we did the project, this project we basically did ourselves with management, Preston and ourselves financially. We did it ourselves, and we figured, well, we'll go ahead and do a completed album, and just after it's done, try to sell it, actually. And so we actually came to our record companies overseas. We came to our record company here in the UK and in Japan.
Yeah.
And Japan released it like we had hoped they would, but the UK record company didn't. They released it as part of a compilation album.
Mm.
And even though the new CD was called That Same Way, the UK released it as something along the lines of Stylistics, everything, something like that. Never really concentrating on the name, that same way.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, Japan was a little more successful than the UK was with the new product.
Yeah. Wow. You know, and I did see that, you know, things went extremely well for you there in Japan. So UK now. So what's coming up? What can we're coming down to see you at the South Coast there in Brighton. So we're seriously looking forward to that. The radio station are coming down. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the concert and a little bit about how it came about and so on.
Okay. Well, actually, we've been touring the UK every year for, I think, the last 40.
Unbelievable.
5 years.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I think it may have been once or twice that we didn't come consecutively, but basically it's been every year. Around this time.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, and wow, it's like a resurgence of our music, of interest in the Stylistics, because all of our shows to date in the UK have been sold out.
Yes.
It's just been fantastic the last few years that we've been coming to the UK too. I would say the last 8 or 9 years we slowly saw an upclimb in attendance and success of the shows too.
Well, definitely, and I think that's attributed to people's attendance to soul music and music of your genre in general here in the UK, and the fact that everybody knows and loves the Stylistics, and you know, to see you guys and to get the feel of you guys going all the way back there to the 70s. It's an absolutely awesome experience that people love.
Yeah, it's amazing watching some of the folks' expression from our standpoint.
Yeah.
You know, we look around the audience and those faces that we can see, and it's a combination of emotions. You know, there's some tears. You see people wiping their eyes. You see some people laughing. Some people, you know, applauding. And it's just amazing how any particular song that we sing can touch so many people's lives differently and all the same at some time. You know, this one lady wrote to our website, and she posted a comment on the show that she saw. She said she was just flooded with so many different emotions. She said from song to song. She was crying one minute, she was happy another minute, and it just, you know, a roller coaster of emotions. You know, and so I think that was. It sounds bad, but when you can bring that much out in a person in an hour and a half that we're on stage, it's amazing, I think.
I think, you know, and the songs that you do sing, I mean, that they have that emotion in them. They're stories in themselves, so much more than modern day songs, which tend not to have that same sort of depth and feel. You know, right. People can relate to "You Make Me Feel Brand New," you know, because it does make them feel brand new. You know, it's you know, the song does what it says on the tin almost. It's fantastic, and I think that's, for me, you know, what it is about the Stylistics. You know, you're an iconic band, but you're also able to touch everybody's hearts, and I love that. You know, that's just fantastic, and never really too many of a gig goes by where I don't get a request for something from the Stylistics, and certainly, you know, on the radio, on breakfast shows, and that it's just wonderful to bring your music into the shows, and everybody loves it. Our chat rooms, our social media goes completely nuts when we play the Stylistics. So when we feature you, it's going to be absolutely great, and we're really looking forward to that. So that's fantastic. Is there anything that you would like to say to the fans? I mean, obviously we're a global radio station, but we do have a big listenership in the UK. Lots of those people will be coming to see you at your various tour dates. You're in Brighton. I know that you're at the O2 as well, aren't you? So you've got quite a sort of heavy schedule there. But
we still have a couple more weeks left of the tour. We're here until December 2. We go home for 6 days, wow. And then we leave for Japan on December 8th to do a tour of Japan. So, it gets a little hectic around this time of the year. But wow, we just want to say to all of our fans that we're just so grateful for all the support that they have given the Stylistics over the years. It's funny, when I look back over a 45-year career, there's no part of it that makes me more happy than to know that I have so many people that just love our music and accept our music. And I think it's the success of that keeps bringing us back. And just thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Wow, that's really lovely. Thank you for that, Airrion. That's just fantastic. We're seriously looking forward to bringing your feature to Sound Fusion Radio, and seriously looking forward to coming and seeing you. And you're so busy still. You know, you're back home for 6 days and then straight off to Japan. That where do you find the energy?
Well, I'm off. I was off yesterday and off today, and we start back working tomorrow. So on these 2 days off, I'm just basically staying in bed.
Good for you.
Just resting up, yeah.
And then you have these annoying radio stations phoning you up at 9 o'clock in the morning. I can't thank you enough for agreeing to do this. It's absolutely fantastic.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
If you'd like to tell the fans about where to find you on social media or your websites and so on,
okay,
that would be great and lovely.
Sure. We have our website up and running, which lists our upcoming shows, whether it's in the United States or anywhere in the world. And you can find that at thestylistics.org. The Stylistics, that's one word, .org.
Yeah, wonderful. There you go. So we'll make sure that we include that when we add you to our website. We'll make sure that we include a link to that and point people over in your direction, and that'll be wonderful. If there's anything else you'd like to say, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, I think I've taken up lots of your time on a day off, and can only thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you shared with us today.
Yeah, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much, and hopefully we can speak again soon. We won't leave it too long, and we can sort of bring a follow-up feature at some point.
Maybe we can do a quick chat in Brighton.
Will be absolutely wonderful. Yeah. So have a wonderful day, and enjoy your rest. And I hope tomorrow back working again yields everything you need it to. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Take care.
And take care. Bye bye.
Thank you now. Cheers. Bye. Bye.